"This is our home now," she screamed, "and no one will take it from us." Blocked it. She stomped her foot on the floor, and the reverberation was greater than anything I'd heard before. The ground shuddered and rumbled, and the sands surrounding the house became solid for a great distance, instantaneously. I aided as many of my kind as I could, but many more were trapped within the solid ground. Since then, the solidity has been increasing with each passing hour. If cephaloids, like myself, don't keep moving, we risk being swallowed up, and that doesn't end well. Seth trails off, and while I'm not sure, given his anatomy, it looks like he's blinking away tears. "What do you mean?" I ask, fearing the answer. "You said you had been attacked by some horrible tentacle creature. That's what we become. There's something malicious, something awful in this woman's influence. When we are caught, it begins to flow into us, distorting and twisting us until we become those terrifying things. Suddenly I feel a little sorry for the creature that had chased me through the woods. Seth looks miserable. Telling the story has obviously taken a toll on him. My instinct is to comfort him, but I'm not exactly sure how. I can think of no worse fate than to become a vicious beast at the beck and call of that woman. I hear she's started calling herself a queen. The gall, the impudence." So that's one here, the impudence. So I know it's bad because of the context of the story, the gall. So what page? That's page 11. Impudence. The nerve. Bad manners. Like when people say, "Oh, the nerve of this one." That's what makes me think of it. Context clues is what I'm thinking. Let's see. Oops. Right here. The state or quality of being rude or not showing respect. So it's close. Bad manners. Quality of being rude. And then I'm going to say, no, not simile. The rude of this, you can use simile. The impudence, impudence. I'm just going to have to say, what did I say up here? I have to visualize it and remember, visualize it. Remember this part of the story. Try to remember it in context because this one's a brand new word for me. So it might take a couple tries for me to remember this word. Okay. Nope, back to it. What does she do with the creatures? Doesn't she see the damage she's caused? Why doesn't she just leave? Why is she doing any of this? The questions rattle off my tongue as quickly as I think them up. Each one hits Seth like a punch to the gut, and he flinches. I spend my days fleeing through what's left of the great sands, running from those creatures and hoping that when I rest I won't awaken trapped or captured, he said. I can't comprehend why any of this is happening. The front door latch clicks open and the door creaks inward. A tall human figure stands in the shadows. I instinctively reach out to protect Odie, who begins to growl. It's a cute dog. I think I might have an idea, the figure says, as he steps into the light of the small candle. He rubs his hands through his red hair, shaking out shimmering specks of sand. His face is aged more than I remember, but I recognize him immediately. "Uncle Jasper!" I scream as I leap off the bed and wrap my arms around him. Odie barks happily behind us. "Quinn, is that you?" He kneels down and we hug again. "What are you doing here?" The story pours out of me, and I tell him about everything that happened to Sarah, Jake, and me in our world and how I ended up here. He's quiet for a long time before Seth grimaces and says, Where did you abscond to? You've been missing for days. I was almost worried. So abscond to. And then this is, and says, where did you abscond? Okay, so abscond. Your concern is almost overwhelming, Seth. So he's asking Seth, which I believe is the alien fella, is asking Jasper, where did you abscond to? I have to look at the picture to kind of understand that one. Where did you abscond to? Abscond. I'd say go. Where did you go to? And then what did I use? I used a simile to try to guess that one. So I just replaced it with a word that meant this. Simile. What am I saying? No. Synonym. Oi. Nobody told me. It's not simile. So let me go up here and fix that real quick. Synonym. Glad I fixed it. Synonym. Simile is when you compare two things using like or as. Synonym is a word that means the same thing. All right, so where did you go to instead of where did you abscond to? Escape, run away, and secret. So it's close. Where'd you escape to? Escape or run away in secret. And I'm still going to say synonym because you can just replace abscond with escape. Okay, where did you abscond to? You've been missing for days. I was almost worried. Your concern is almost overwhelming, Seth, Uncle Jasper says. For your information, I was doing some reconnaissance on why the solidity has begun to spread again and at such an alarming rate. I managed to come relatively close to her palace without the creatures discovering me, thanks to a series of distractions by a girl, a young boy, and a cat. So we've got some good context clues here. For your information, I was doing some reconnaissance on why the solidity has begun to spread again at such an alarming rate. I managed to come relatively close to her palace without the creatures discovering me, thanks to a series of distractions. So those are good context clues for reconnaissance. And I'm going to borrow this because I'm not going to remember how to spell reconnaissance. It's on page 13. Oops. R-E-C-O. I'll come down here. 13. R-E-C-O-N-N-A-I-S-S-A-N-C-E. Reconnaissance. So I did some reconnaissance. I did some, I'm going to say information gathering. Secret information gathering, because he needed distractions to do it. I used context clues to figure that out. Let's see how close I got. Oops. Reconnaissance. The act of exploring and gaining information. That was pretty close. Let's see. The act of exploring and gaining information. And I'm just going to say context clues will help me remember it. What did they look like, I asked. She had dark hair and she was wearing some sort of costume. The boy had blonde hair and was dressed like a cowboy. The cat, well, it was a cat, a white one. That sounds like Sarah and Jake, I exclaim as ecstatic tears burn my eyes. I'm so happy they're alive and safe. So I think this is part of a series of books. That's why some of these characters are not familiar to us yet. Uncle Jasper's face drops, and he begins to pace around the small room, repeatedly rubbing his hands through his hair. They were being held by the creatures, and I witnessed their escape through a tunnel the girl, Sarah, must have conjured. I assumed they had escaped danger, so I continued on my path to the palace and arrived just in time to see Sarah and Jake follow the cat right through the front doors. Seth gasps dramatically and covers his mouth with his tentacles. So that's why the solid ground is spreading. I don't understand, I say. The queen is quite old, and over time the effort of sustaining this solid world has taxed her will and imagination to the point where she can't maintain her creations on her own anymore. She uses another, feeding on his or her will and imagination, twisting it to her own desires and capturing the other person into a world of illusion. The queen used me for some time, and when I managed to escape, she captured another, Anna, and has been using her ever since. His voice trails off, and the anguish is evident on his face. For a long time, the solidity was static. When the solidity started spreading again, I had to find out why. I believe the queen was reaching out to lure in someone whose imagination and will was more powerful than Anna's. And who has more imagination and will than children? Sarah and Jake, I whisper, and Uncle Jasper nods. We don't have long now. We have to rescue them before they succumb to the queen's illusions. Succumb to the queen's illusions completely and are lost to us like Anna. So we don't have long now. We have to rescue them before they, what if I got rid of succumb and I said before they give in to the queen's illusions? So I think succumb means to give in. Page 15. Succumb. Give in. Used a synonym. Let's see. Oops, almost done. Succumb. To give in or to no longer resist. Look at me. So it does mean give in. And then synonym is how we remember it. And okay, like Anna. Anna, that name flickers in my mind, tickling some memory I can't quite grasp. Then the realization slams into me. Anna is Sarah's mom, I say. The end.